Welcome to Fans Fight Back on the Pitch Boxing app with myself, Martin Theobald, and with us, James Sunderland. We are the only show that has our own special advisor that can't be touched by law enforcement anywhere in the world. How are you, James?
Not too bad. I'm not sure what I can follow up with after that, because I think that's very topical, shall we say.
No, it's not topical at all. Just a random point about our advisors. 5 million of them. 5 million of them. Right, yeah. No, I enjoy my life. So, how are you? You good?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Oh, well, yourself? You good?
All good, all good. I did do a piece completely unrelated to that. I did a piece of Kieran Cunningham over in Ireland about Daniel Kinahan. Very interesting piece. Kieran obviously knows his stuff and has known his stuff for many years and followed the story. And yeah, it was quite an interesting piece last week. So go and find that on Pitch Boxing app and YouTube and whatever. As I say, completely unrelated. There was a load of boxing at the weekend. I didn't really, well, that's a lie. I did watch quite a lot of it. I couldn't tell you the majority of what happened. But I will give a shout out to my friend Sam Gilley, who, I don't know if you saw his fight on Friday with Drew Brown on the MTK show. It was brilliant. Just go and find, I think it was round 8. It was phenomenal. It was the English light middleweight title. Just round 8. It was amazing, amazing fight. Outside of that, did you watch much of it?
Honestly, no word of a lie. This sounds really bad, and there's no reflection of him. I put the boxing on. Campbell Latin came on. I fell asleep, and that was that. Woke up. Literally, as I think round 1 of what was it? Conor Benn fight was about to start, and I thought I've missed the Billam Smith fight, so I went back to find what had happened with the Billam Smith fight. Once I'd watched that, went live, and the fight had finished. That was it. And I think I was up in the night with my little girl was up early hours of Saturday night. I think about 5-ish. I checked Twitter. Spence Ugas was around.
Yeah, she wanted to get up for Errol Spence, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. So I duly obliged, got the iPad out and watched it in bed. And yeah, that's about. To be honest, I just felt there was too much on, and it required effort for me to choose what to watch. So I just chose nothing. I know that sounds daft. I just couldn't be asked.
It did. There was nothing on last weekend. Nothing on whatsoever on TV. This weekend, you ended up with BT Sports, Sky Sports, DAZN, all running Saturday night. Like
it was all crap. Like the only thing that I thought was fair enough was the boxer series, because I don't mind that, and I think you do get, you get lads that get an opportunity on there. So I wouldn't have minded watching that, but I quite like Billam Smith. I rate shit with the job Shane McGuigan's done with him. That's proper training, in my opinion, bringing someone in from and then getting them to higher ends of British / European level. He's got a belt. Let's be honest, it's not like stellar European level, is it? And I wouldn't necessarily say he's now ready for a world title, but so I like Billam Smith. I like the journey he's been on. So I wanted to watch that. So I genuinely gutted that I fell asleep, because that's a good performance on paper. And,
it was a very good performance that he put in. I was impressed by him more so than I usually am. And I like Chris as a man. I'm not always that excited by him as a boxer. But it was a very good performance, I thought, Saturday night. Didn't watch any of the Frank Warren one from Telford. There was nothing on. I don't need to see Nathan Heaney's ring walk again. I can find it on Twitter if I want to see it. Plus, let's be honest, it was a lot more magical when it happened in small hall shows near his hometown, and there weren't all the big TV cameras, and it felt more organic rather than shoving it into some Telford leisure centre.
Agreed.
Doesn't do a lot for me, I've got to be honest. Nathan Heaney, I don't really rate him massively. It's not his fault. He's got a massive fan base. Brilliant. Good on him. I hope he can milk it and make money out of it for a long time yet, rather than getting stepped up.
Couldn't agree more.
That Chima fella, I quite liked him on Boxer, the one that won it.
I've not seen a thing of it. Not seen it. I did want Ryland Charlton to win. If I'm honest, I've got a bit of a soft spot. I like Ryland Charlton. The way he goes about his business, he looks the part. He's cool as fuck. But
yeah, Yeah, it's him and Charlton in the final, Chima, and it was a brilliant fight. Chima's ex-kickboxer, you can see it in his style and in his stance, and but they just went for it for 9 minutes. Just went for it. Chima was the rightful winner. Chris Van Heerden, I never want to see on UK shores ever again. I see he's tweeted Eddie Hearn today saying, "Get me back." I think why? Yeah. Like, surely we've got enough welterweights in this country that deserve an opportunity, rather than you, who, in my view, doesn't deserve another opportunity on a big show.
Agreed. Yeah. It's weird because the matchmaking for Conor Benn, if I'm honest, I don't actually mind that much. It's more the noise around him that infuriates me. You can't. The noise and the substance just he's on. They're not. They don't meet in the middle at all. And is he past domestic level? Can we say that he's past domestic level? I think he's completely swerved it. I'd still rather. Would you rather see next Maurice Hooker? Or that same type of opponent, like an Algeria, them style, or would you rather see him in with a McKinson, a Congo? I would rather see that personally, because we know what level they're at. Maybe not McKinson, but definitely, I think it's fair to say they are all the top tier of domestic welterweights. Maybe not European level yet, but they could be. That's my take on it. Whereas Conor Benn, it's almost like elements of the old Frank Warren style, maybe like they did with AJ, build him up, protect him, and sling him in when the risk and reward is right. But just the noise it does my head in. It's just not.
I agree completely, and it's not to hate on Conor Benn. It's not his fault. He's doing his job. He's going out there and doing his job every single time. But he talks well and he looks good. And he's heart. He's all of it. He's going out and knocking people out in 2 rounds. It's not his fault. But you've got that. I feel for Hearn, actually. I never really feel for Hearn about many things, to be honest. But here you've got a commodity who you've got to sell as being the real deal without actually wanting to take any form of risk with him for another probably 2-3 years. What
I can't understand as well, they were going to fight Josh Kelly if Josh Kelly won. Why not? Why? I'd have still been up for that fight. I think there'd have been enough intrigue in that. Obviously, I know you've been Josh Kelly off, whatever, but if you're not... So you want Josh Kelly if he wins, and only if he wins. You don't want Avanesian if he wins, clearly. And you don't want Josh Kelly if he loses,
Well, I think Josh Kelly's going to 154 now, isn't he?
Is he? Yeah. Oh, right. Well, fair play.
I think he did the standard. You either change your trainer or your weight division, don't you, when you lose? And he went with weight division. So I feel for Hearn, because you put him in with Michael Mackinson. And I know Michael. I know Michael's family. I know his dad is his trainer. But that would be a pretty dull fight, I suspect, because most of Michael's fights are pretty dull. You put him in there and he loses, doesn't look good. Right, okay, so that's not a great move. You put him with Avanesian. People, as much as Hearn says it and people kind of mock him Hearn says, well, nobody knows who Avanesian is. And you get people say, well, nobody knew who Chris Van Heerden was. Correct. Absolutely correct. But Chris Van Heerden was never going to beat him, and David Avanesian might. So I don't blame them for not putting him in with David Avanesian. If you're going to let him possibly get beaten, you've got to do it against somebody with name value. Whether that's
do you not think that says more about Eddie Hearn's stable than it does about the way they promoted, not about the way they promoted Conor Benn, but it's almost like this is almost like an accident. They never expected Conor Benn to be what he is, and I think it was very much a case of happy-go-lucky, see where he ends up, fun fights, make a few quid, you use your dad's name. Whereas now it seems very much like he seems to be in my... Yeah, like there's no one else really that you would say. Apparently the tickets weren't great in Manchester, but by all accounts he does good numbers. By all accounts he's all these different things, but I just think the stable's crap. So they can't afford for him to lose, really, can they? But that's not my issue as a boxing fan. My issue with a boxing fan is I want to see. We all think, right, Conor Benn might be legit now. We need that test, and it's very much at that stage now. You can't be comparing him. Like, for example, if I could stick him in with anyone, it'd be Mean Machine Kavalauskas or whatever it's called. Yeah. I think that because you're swerving domestic level, you clearly don't want anything of Avanesian. You can sell him off Crawford. He's been with Crawford, because they're selling Vargas, Van Heerden, Algieri. He's done a better job than Pacquiao. He's done a better job than Boots. Stick him in with Kavalauskas then. See if he can do a better job than Ortiz and Crawford. That makes sense to me. Either this fight or the next fight. He's legit.
I got a text off someone relatively close to all of it, who said the next fight will be legit. So we'll wait and see. But I put out a tweet the other day saying about, like, they kept talking about it's one, this was the final step. And I think I put before he fights Robert Guerrero, maybe.
Yeah.
I got sent that by somebody relatively close to it all who said, no, like the next one legitimately will be a good fight and people will be impressed. I don't know what that means. I don't know what level we're talking, but I'm told it will be worthwhile waiting for the next one.
Who's the Euro? Oh, it's Avanesian, and I was going to say who's the European welterweight. It's Avanesian, isn't it?
I would have been massively shocked if we ended up getting, I don't know, Victor Postol, someone like that, like dragged up from 140. But somebody who's been at that top level, but is less of a threat, can be sold on name value to some degree. You don't need to tell people that he's a light welterweight. Not enough Conor Benn fans are going to ask the question anyway, you'd suspect. That would probably be where I assume they might go with it. But I don't know, who would be, if you had to pick one, would you be Kavalauskas?
I think with the way they're going, I think it has an element of name value in America as well, because it's probably known to the audience. That seems to be the direction they're going, picking up opponents to use as measuring sticks from previous top welterweights. So that would be my pick. If it had to be just simply from a fan in terms of what I would like to see, Avanesian all day. That's the fight, because that's what we're being told is ducking. To prove us wrong.
Yeah.
One of the two for me. What about you?
From a fan perspective, Avanesian all day long. Like, that would just be a cracking fight. Just two blokes that you kind of think by the time they got in there, he would rile up Conor Benn just because of all the talk. Not necessarily from Avanesian, but from everybody around him. I'd love to see that. I don't think it will happen, not anytime soon. So I think realistically, I don't know. I'd have to go back through who's Errol Spence fought over the last 3 or 4 defences and pick one of those, I suppose, would be the answer. But
is someone like Lamont Peterson? Is he still going up?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing the Brook fight. I don't know if that's realistic financially. I don't want to see the Khan fight. I thought that was disgusting having him in the ring Saturday night. It was kind of, it was all a bit awkward. Nobody needs to see that. But Brook, give me the Brook fight. I'll be really happy with that. Shove it on pay-per-view. I don't see an issue with that. See how Conor does as a pay-per-view fighter for the right opponent. But yeah. So I'm just going to let my cat out before it annoys me. Go on, off you go. What professional as ever. Right, so that's the weekend ticked off. There's only one thing to talk about now, isn't there, really? Big one this weekend. Isaac Lowe versus Nick Bull.
I knew you were going to say that.
Isaac Lowe versus... No, no, I can't be.
I hope he gets chinned, to be honest. No, I don't know if maybe that's a bit harsh. I feel sorry for Isaac Lowe a little bit. He's just like a little puppet that gets pulled out every time Fury fights. And I respect that about Fury, to be honest, bringing people up with him. But Isaac Lowe on at Wembley, what is going on?
As the chief support, isn't he?
It's ridiculous.
I mean, let's start there. Do you care about the undercard?
No.
You're not going, so...
No.
Are you paying for it?
Yes.
You'll be watching it, right? Yeah, so, if somebody's paying 25 quid, their mind would have been made up that they're going to pay 25 quid the moment Fury Whyte was announced. There is no consideration for what's on that undercard. Nobody cares. You can't lie to me and tell me, oh, I'm not going to buy it now because there's no undercard. Nah, I'm not having, not one person do I believe actually stands by that. You're buying it for Whyte versus Fury, or you're not buying it. It's as simple as that.
Agreed. And I think it's, if I'm Frank Warren and I sell out the stadium with no undercard, why am I going to put money into the undercard when you're doing your bollocks on the main event on a purse bid anyway?
Yeah.
Makes no sense to...
No, I agree completely. And I get the argument you could put out some of your top prospects, but I don't, outside of Anthony Yard, Callum Johnson, I'm not really sure who you'd put on anyway.
I actually did. I did think they'd put Yard on for the London value and that sort of thing. But again, Yard's probably at a stage of his career where it'd have to be a knockover, and it's not going to do him any good. You wouldn't have thought.
No, all you'll get is
I agree.
You get people whinging that he knocked someone over that shouldn't have been there.
Yeah,
it's not going to be a world title fight, as you say, given the expense of the main event.
Or even Dubois, like.
Oh yeah, that would have done. Yeah. A warm up for whatever he's doing next. But I don't care. I would happily, like, this should have been I've said this for a while. This should have been the first one where I think you could just have the main event fight, just have the show built around the main event with a ring walk of 10 o'clock. Start the show at 8 o'clock, and you build up throughout the whole night. The characters of the two people, the storyline, you bring in people that fought both of them.
Yeah. That's what you want to see, though, isn't it? It's not like you're even interested in the undercard. They'll be showing them coming into the stadium. They'll probably be interviewing trainers. They'll be interviewing Lennox Lewis, or, you know, all these. That's what you want to see.
But when I watch a Champions League final, I don't need to see like the Europa Conference League final before it. I don't care, but I will watch the full 2 hours of build-up programming. If it were two English teams in the final, I will sit and watch all of the build-up to it until that kickoff at 8 o'clock. For this, I don't need to see Isaac Lowe versus Nick Ball. I don't need to see whoever else is on that undercard. Just give me the main event, but give me 2 hours of quality broadcast before that to build up to it and build my excitement. I'd be far happier with that than a throwaway undercard, personally.
Agreed.
So I don't see the point in it, really. For the people that go there, maybe okay, so just whack them in, and but again, who's going there for those fights? Nobody. The majority of people will just turn up at 9:45, I suspect, and wait for the ring walks.
Agreed. I think that's what you're there for.
Yeah, as I say, not one person has bought a ticket or buying that pay-per-view for the undercard. I'm not having it. So the main event, Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte. How do you see it going?
Derek Chisora 3, basically.
Do you?
Yeah, I've said that all. It depends what Fury turns up, and depends what he wants to do. I think there's a lot of. I've been thinking about this, and I think there's a lot of question marks around Fury. Are his legs going? How much of the Deontay Wilder fight's taken out of him, etc., etc. But I think his last fight against Wilder, he if there's a fighter that's had a bad camp, I would say he had a bad. If your little girl's in hospital and he wasn't one of these, when he makes up bollocks, like, and I don't understand why people still get riled up when Fury speaks, because we've seen it enough for him to talk rubbish and still perform in the ring, and I think he's just entertaining himself, to be honest.
He said, did he say today, this is definitely his last fight? Joshua had his chance, didn't take it. He's retiring after this.
But he roused people up. He roused people up. Mr. Contradiction, and it's like, but how many times has he been here? And anyway, but so I think for him to have had a really bad camp, which he clearly did, whether he had COVID, whether he didn't have COVID or whatever, if there's a reason to pull out of a fight that you maybe lose a child, your camp's disrupted, having to run that. So I think all will be revealed in the ring ultimately, but I think it's fair to assume that there was probably things at play there that, he didn't look his best against Wilder, but that's arguably one of the best Wilders we've ever seen, and Fury still beat him. Whereas Whyte, on the other hand, I can't remember last time I saw him in with a tall opponent. The two that spring to mind was Whack and Hellenius, and I thought he was crap against both of them. Trainer, still question marks about that, isn't there? Because let's be honest, he chinned a riddled with COVID 400-year-old Povetkin.
Yep.
And got chinned the fight before. So I think there's a lot of question marks over him as well. And when you look at the company which Dylan Whyte's kept, he's been in with Rivas, he's been in with, the likes of Chisora. Yeah, chinned him, fair play. Took him a bit, probably losing, but he did chin him. Joseph Parker, I don't know. I think it's if Fury wants to make it an easy fight, it's an easy night's work for him. But Dylan Whyte is a nutter. But I think Fury is too. If someone said to you, "Who do you want to bump into on a back alley?" It's like, which is the lesser of the worst evils? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've always said if I was in a pub fight, the one person in boxing I'd want next to me is Dillian Whyte. 100%. Like, the man, I know he got stopped by Joshua, he got stopped by Povetkin, but that's because he puts himself in the way.
Yeah.
Punches at times. I know that sounds stupid, but it was almost the same punch from both. It was that uppercut that he got caught with in positions where he shouldn't really be. And I think Fury will take advantage of that. I think Fury, I actually think is going to be not one-sided, because I think Fury will have to go through a lot to win, because I think that's in Fury's nature as well, is that if you go back, I mean, I was at that second Chisora fight, the one where he just jabbed Chisora's face off, like almost literally just jabbed his face off until Chisora got pulled out of it. I don't think there's that Fury anymore. I don't think that Fury exists anymore. I think he is a bit more of a risk taker.
I think he could be, if he need, like, for example, say he got dropped and he needs to get back behind the jab for a couple of rounds. I think it's still in there, but I think walking someone down and punching their head in is probably less tiring than boxing on the back foot. The concentration level side of things as well, but
yeah, and I found it interesting. I don't know if you saw the footage from the media workout today. Fury looks like me. He looks out of shape. I know he's never a six-pack lay, like, he's not a god, is he? But even today, he was kind of wobbling as he was moving a bit, and I thought that doesn't look like a man who's prepared to go the 12. Was my initial thought just looking at him.
I don't know. I've given up. I used to read into stuff like that with Fury, but I've given up because I know I sound like a Fury fanboy. It's just my opinion. I think out of all the boxers, when top level boxers, maybe Canelo. Is there anyone that is more at home in a boxing ring?
Yeah, you're right.
And I think
Canelo.
Yeah, they're like going in with Wilder, and before the fight, he's sticking his tongue out with him and stuff, and it's like, you are, but like, what's wrong with you? Like, this guy could genuinely end you, like, and you're just winding him up.
Yeah. No, I think, I'm with you. I'll go back to that the third Wilder fight where he got dropped, and again it looked over. You think that shot where it showed where it reverberated from his chin down through his body, and when I'm saying about he's carrying a bit of timber on him, you think back to that, and like he went from his chin down through his hips into his feet, and you like shock absorbers through his stomach. I kind of think if he wasn't in that shape, if he was like an Adonis, would he have got back up from those shots? Not convinced. So maybe he's preparing for, maybe that body is like preparing for some bombs off of Dillian Whyte.
And if you think about his worst performance in recent years, was when he was quite light, and his dad said he's too light, he needs to be bigger. And ultimately, you have to say he was probably, potentially prove right. But I don't know. There will come a day where Fury slows down and it catches up with him, and it may be Saturday night. But I think the same can be said for Dylan Whyte. He's had a lot of tough fights.
He's not a young man, is he? Either?
This is what I'm saying. It's like we obviously down against Joshua, been down against Parker, down against Rivas, down against Povetkin. So he's had an up and down career as well. Changed trainer, and I know it's the first Povetkin fight, David Caldwell comes in. I don't think he's in for the second one. There's still question marks next to Dylan Whyte. Is the ghost of Povetkin still there? He strikes me the character where he roll with the punches. If he gets knocked out, he gets knocked out. I don't think he'd overthink it. But, when you've been iced like that, you would think, is the punch resistance going to be the same? I'm not sure. But again, when you've gone, however many rounds with Wilds and been put down probably 4 times with it, that's going to take something out of you. Is this a case of who's got more left?
What I would say with Whyte is that I don't think the belief will be dented. I
suppose that's what I'm getting at with the roll with the punches. I don't think.
I don't think he will lose any of that belief whatsoever. I think he will be comfortable that whatever damage he took against Povetkin was a one-off, one punch, get back up afterwards, move on, avenge it. So I don't think he'll lose any of that belief. But I mean, that's why we love Dillian Whyte, isn't it? Because he's susceptible. He gets hit, he goes down, he sometimes doesn't get back up. Well, not within the 10. But so what would your prediction be? Fury?
Yeah, I think Fury's stoppage somewhere between round 7 and 9, because I think around that. So I think ultimately Whyte's approach will either get him knocked out or he will knock Fury out. I don't think it's going to be one of those where he's going to let it go to the judges. He will be swinging and he'll either catch him or he'll get caught. And I think he'll put that much into it. Not the same. I think it could be exhaustion as much as put that much into it. Yeah, that's the way I see it going. I think he'll have moments. I think it wouldn't shock me if this is just a straightforward, easy night's work either for Fury and he just butchers him on the jab. But the way Chisora lost belief, and you could see it drain from him round by round, that desire, that belief they would win, I don't think that could ever leave Whyte. I think in the heavyweight division, I think maybe you've got to give Wilder credit as well. I think these two are probably the ones that they could be 11 rounds down and they would still believe that they're going to win the fight.
Yeah, and I think what will count against Whyte is that not conditioning, that's the wrong word because it makes it sound like he's unfit. He's not unfit, he's incredibly fit. But there's a difference between being incredibly fit and being incredibly fit in the 8th, 9th, 10th round against a man who's, whatever he is, 130 kilos or something come fight night and leaning on you and sticking those arms in your face and all the horrible things that Tyson's very good at.
I know, and people saying, Dylan Whyte's left hand and this and that, and again, not for 1 minute like a boxing expert or anything like that, but Dylan Whyte's going to have to be close enough to land it. So he's going to have to come through some fire to get in close. And whenever I've seen Fury in close, I think one thing that strikes me with him is really smart with his head position. If he knows you've got a big left hook, he'll put his head in the place where you can't land it. Do you know what I mean? Just little things like that where I think Fury's, it's not a secret, Dylan Whyte's best shot is probably his catch counter left hook. But even though Fury's been a come forward fighter, I can't really remember him throwing that many like bent arm shots. It's very much long distance 1-2s.
Fury's very similar. I mean, he's got some of the same traits. You sort of Errol Spence at the weekend against Ugas, in that when he's in close, he captures the arms in positions to stop Ugas throwing punches. Yeah. Or as you say, he positions his head in a position where you can't land the hook because it's in the wrong area.
Yeah.
And it's the same way Fundora did it as well. When you see the Fundora fight the other week, a 6'2" like middleweight or whatever he is, who likes to fight up close. He does that because he's doing things while he's up close to stop his opponent from being able to get their shots off. It's just what they're trained in doing. As you roll it all the way back to what you said at the beginning, Fury is probably one of the most comfortable people in that boxing ring. He's been doing this since he was a child. Yeah. He's grown into that body. He knows what he's doing. He's seen every style you'd imagine throughout his career. Not to compare the two, but is Dillian Whyte a million miles away from David Price? David Price's kind of biggest shot was that left straight. Yes, he was a southpaw. Dillian Whyte would be the left hook. Tyson fought Price in the amateurs. He dealt with it then. he's seen big left hands before, I suppose, is the point that I'm getting at.
Yeah. And I think there's a habit with boxing fans, boxing in general, where the closer you get to a fight, you start to overthink things. And I think generally, in my opinion, I think a lot of the times if I've had a bet on a fight or called a fight, your gut instinct's normally there or thereabouts. And I think realistically, if Whyte can't stop, the likes of Parker, the likes of Rivas, he stopped Chisora, fair enough. We've seen Fury put down 4 times by Wilder, who was one of the biggest punchers, the biggest puncher this era, I would say, that I think we've ever seen. I don't know. I just don't know if can Whyte hurt him and put him down. Yes. Can he finish him off? I'm not sure. I think I don't know. I physically can't see it.
I'm with you, and I think when Whyte went life and death with Joseph Parker, that 12th round, you go back to that fight, it was crazy. Like if there was
a minute more, he's done.
30 more seconds, Joseph Parker wins that fight. Joseph Parker is someone that Tyson Fury has in his camp just for like sparring and to help bring him through. And I think that shows there's a bit of a significant difference to me. As you say, I'd like to think if you pick a winner of a fight, as you say, pick it when the fight is announced, not as it gets nearer, because as it gets nearer, you build up this mythical idea of what somebody is about rather than what you actually thought about it when the fight was made. When it was made, I thought Fury will stop him. I'm still pretty convinced.
Yeah, agreed. And I think it's this is why we love boxing, isn't it? Because ultimately you never know. You can always release this, release that. And I think another thing which is unfairly sort of labelled at Fury to a degree is he's beat one man in so-and-so time. It's not a bad win, is it? Wilder, I just think... I think every time I think, what if Wilder's taken a lot out of Fury? I think you can say the same about Whyte. So I'm not even sure that matters that much because they're probably both in similar positions. I'd imagine there's probably similar ages. They both got a lot of miles on the clock.
Yeah. What I would say about it, though, is that I think when I looked last, Dillian Whyte was 4 or 5 to 1 to win this fight. That seems ludicrous to me. And if they fought 5 times, I would anticipate Whyte to, I don't know, win 2, do you reckon, maybe, out of 5?
No, I just can't. I can't see it. I can't see it. I really can't see it. And again, I'm not bothered as long as it's a good fight. No rematch. Whoever wins, whether it's Fury, whether it's Whyte, no bullshit rematches. Just let the winner fight the winner of Usyk Joshua. That's all I care about. But I just don't. I think Fury can. The way I look at this is, Dillian Whyte, in my opinion, can win one way and one way only. And I think I can think of a number. I can see Fury stopping him mid to late. I can see Fury catching him maybe early. If you see Fury stinking the place out and winning on points, so I just can't. I just honestly can't see how Dillian Whyte wins.
Well, we find out Saturday night. I'm going
to get trolled for this, aren't I?
Fury late stoppage, 7 to 10 is what I've gone with.
Yeah, there or thereabouts for me as well. I think it's depending. I might have a look at the price, but it wouldn't even shocked. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if there's like no knockdowns. It's more of a you
have him on the ropes, ref jumps in.
Yeah, sustained beating and maybe a towel comes in or the ref jumps in because I think Dillian Whyte's pride is, he can't be questioned, his heart's ridiculous. And I think it's going to be a good fight to watch, but I don't think it'll be overly competitive. I'm going to get hammered if he gets chinned. I really am. I'm setting myself up. I'm deleting Twitter if this goes wrong.
Saturday night, though. Saturday night. I'll be tuned in. You'll be tuned in. Everyone's going to tune in. Scrap the undercard talk. Anyone who cares about boxing in any way whatsoever will be watching it. I don't care what they say.
Yeah. You'll be judging, won't you?
I am. I'm going to sit and score it on the Pitch Boxing app. I'm not sure who else I'm scoring it alongside. There are others that are going to do it as well. One of whom did it last time and I couldn't make it. Leon Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Ex-footballer, right? Quick story. Leon Knight, when I was at university in Huddersfield, I went to a Huddersfield game once. I got this little striker up top on loan from Chelsea, Leon Knight, who tore the game apart. He was outstanding. Outstanding. I went with my dad and we came away. We were like, crikey, who the hell was that lad? He was something else. And yeah, then last time I couldn't make it to the scoring and I was replaced by Leon Knight. So there you go.
Yeah.
Small world.
He's Woodhouse doing it as well. I saw him once.
I believe he is, yeah. So I'm in esteemed company. Of which they can probably both play for my veterans football team as well. I need to tap them up.
Yeah, get the forms in.
Yeah, I'll get him in for next season. Right, James, thank you very, very much, mate. Saturday night, it's going to be cracking. Whatever happens, it'll be a great spectacle.
Yeah, if you never hear from me again, it's because Dylan White's chinned him and I've deleted social media.
And your bet didn't come in.
Yeah.
Excellent. Top man, thank you very much, James.
See you in a bit, mate.
Take care. Bye-bye.